close to 75% of road accidents happen due to preventable factors such as mobile distractions, drowsy driving, speeding, and external risks like weather or accident-prone roads. Kruzr is a mobile app which turns the driver's smartphone into a driving assistant. This helps him mitigate the risks he faces while driving. In current pilot projects, Kruzr managed to cut down distracted driving by 80%. Next on stage, Kruzr.
Hello, we are Kruzr. I'm Jasmeet, co-founder and head of design. Let's take a moment and start talking about the lives that are lost every year on the road. It's in millions, 3,500 per day to be exact. We started looking at the reasons why this was happening. What we realized was most of them were either due to behavioral reasons, like distracted driving, speeding, drowsy driving, or due to external risk factors like weather conditions or road conditions which were not in our hands. But we also realized at the end of the day, they were very preventable. If the driver was informed on the right time and they were made understood about the risk that they were facing on the road. Let's talk about insurance industry. $200 billion are lost every year because of these preventable accidents. Why? What impact does it have on the insurance industry? The claim to underwriting ratio is high at 80%, leading to a very bleak profit margin of operation. The customer engagement is non-existent, which leads to a very high customer attrition rate of 30% right now. Lack of contextual data for actuarial teams leads to no perfect policy personalization at the end of the day. What can we do about it? Let's talk about how we at Kruzr look at the problem. We think the driver is at the heart of this whole issue. If we can help drivers understand their issues and manage their day-to-day drives very well, we can actually make sure they're safer on the road and reduce claims. Kruzr is a phone application which turns your smartphone for the driver into their personal driving assistant. Kruzr makes sure it contextually understands every drive, tries to understand your risk in every drive at the granular level in real time. Once you have the phone application installed and it realizes there is a risk situation coming in, it tries to guide the driver very subtly through an n number of behavioral factors, making sure the right interventions are in place, and voice assistance, which makes sure that the driver is not really operating the phone. Let me take you through how Kruzr works.
Hi Paul, Kruzr has detected that you are driving. Loading the drive mode for you. Good morning, where do you want to go today?
Take me to the office.
Sure, starting navigation to office.
What you saw is what happens when a user installs the application into their phone. Kruzr automatically understands your context, realizes that you're driving, automatically kicks in, and then helps you with your navigation, music, and other services that you'll typically require. Let's talk about the distracted driving solution. Kruzr handles your calls and communications and tries to understand the urgency. It looks like Samantha is trying to call Paul. Let's see what's happening at the back.
Hey, Paul.
Hi, Paul is currently driving. Please let me know what you called for.
Gabe has met with an accident.
This sounds urgent. Connecting you to Paul immediately.
Here, Kruzr has understood there's a communication coming in, realized that it's urgent, and it's going to make sure it's passed on to Paul so that he doesn't miss on anything urgent. What about the non-urgent issues? We make sure you're able to access anything non-urgent at the places that are safe for you. For example, a trip stop. In this case, Paul is stopped on a traffic light. Now he's able to access all the communications that he's supposed to see and is very safe to actually make sure he gets communicated. Kruzr makes sure you're connected and safe at the same time. You don't lose on the communication the reason you had your phone on for. So the other cases and interventions that we want to talk about, let's say drowsy driving. Long drives, people get sleepy, driver falling asleep on the wheel, very problematic. What do we do in that scenario? Kruzr typically makes sure it understands the signals for fatigue and monotony, which is the prime reason for drowsy driving, and then guides user subtly to understand that he might need to take a break.
Hi Paul, you have been driving for 2 hours. You must be getting tired. Let's stop for a coffee break.
the other senses, like speeding, Kruzr typically tries to create a safe speed range for you, depending on the context of driving, the road condition, what's happening around traffic in your scenarios, and determines you are in that safe zone. It's not just about overspeeding or underspeeding.
Paul, please slow down. Your safe speed range is 60 to 80 kilometers per hour.
So what you saw were the kind of interventions that we have planned that make sure it subtly informs the user about the risks that he's typically getting into. Similar for external conditions, we want to make sure driver is preemptively warned that he's getting into a situation which might be risky and is able to take the decisions beforehand. Kruzr typically uses the power of your smartphone and technologies like artificial intelligence and voice cloud computing to make sure risk is mitigated at every trip. Let's see how Kruzr helps Paul's motor insurance company. So what you see here is data from all the drivers flowing into the dashboard, making sure everything is visible for you. It just doesn't give you the view of a driver behavior in terms of data. It also helps you understand the actual risk exposure converting into accident. The underwriting team and actuarial teams can utilize this data very well to understand how it impacts their claim frequency. The pricing team, on the other hand, can make sure they can dig down into driver behavior, deep down, and make sure the policies are personalized to an individual level. To conclude, insurance is an inflection point. It's changing. We talk about insurance 2.0 in the sense that it's not just about consumer engagement at the end of the day. We also want to make sure it's also about preventiveness. Kruzr typically comes into the position to help the insurers make sure they're connected to the drivers that they're working with, reduce the claims at the end of the process, and still make sure they're safe. For us, the future of insurance is preventive, and Kruzr is a plug-and-play solution for the motor insurance company to become a partner in their consumer's life, truly personalized to their needs, and truly preventive. Thank you.